every 6 Texans struggles with food insecurity and hunger. And many people don't eat enough fruits and vegetables every day. The Better Living for Texans program is here to help you learn how to make healthy menu choices, save money at the grocery store, prepare quick and delicious meals, get more good nutrition in your day, and get more physical activity. Classes are fun, friendly, interactive, and free, and taught in English and Spanish. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KCCZ LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on the Cindy Cochran Show. I'm Cindy Cochran, and that works out well. But I'm so excited because we have our sponsor with us today, and you're going to meet him in just a moment. Yes, that's right. Chris Wootton is with us, and I'm not going to say anything about his last name. I'm not going to make fun of it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just saying it's Chris Wootton. You can't forget that name. In fact, I think he made it up just so people would always remember it, and they would know who to call for their financial planning. But anyway, I got to say something. This is all over the news. And besides catching that guy that killed those 4 college students, is Kevin McCarthy. And he called me the other day and said, I really need to be on your show quickly because I think you have about 20 listeners and I could probably use every one of those to call their congressman and tell them to vote for me. I went, Kevin, you got it. No, he didn't call me. But I was talking to a comedian who's on the show often and saying, I'm going to have to cut you because I've got to have Kevin McCarthy on. He goes, he called you? And I said, yeah, because he knew that I had listeners that probably would vote for him. He said, oh, yeah, all 20 of them. I said, that's right, all 20. Shut up. We do have more than that, I promise you. But anyway, I'm really excited about having someone like this guy on because he has so much up here, so much knowledge, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and he's making me feel so stupid because I don't know what to ask this guy. I'm getting ready to interview him. So I looked at his video, and I thought maybe I'll get some, find a word besides fiduciary that I could say to him or throw out and make me look smart. But I couldn't. He has so many good ideas and so many ways of making you feel like this is where I need to be. And I know you got to do some kind of disclaimer, right? I want to first introduce you as Chris Wootton, the great sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. That shows how brilliant you are right off the bat, So, and that you came back. You were a sponsor when we were over at the old studio, and you came back. So I told people, if you want to sponsor this show, this guy's come back for the second time. And he's watched the shows. He's been on the shows. Yeah. So
get your act together. Get back over and sponsor somebody.
That's right. And support your community.
There you go.
That's what you're supposed to be doing. But anyway, Chris Wootton, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It is just an honor to have you.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Well, with all your knowledge and all that you can now give to all these people, and it will be on YouTube forever.
Oh boy!
As soon as this show is live, it's right now live, and it's over. It comes up on YouTube like immediately. Yeah. Richard is a magician, and he brings it right back up on there. Nobody will miss it. Nobody will have to miss a bit of this. So call your friends and family and say, I'm on YouTube, live streaming. But anyway, I want to let you get to the meat of the subject, is what you do as a financial planner. Is it just planning for retirement, or is there more to it than that?
Well, it can encompass a little bit more. Ultimately, if you think about financial planning, at least in the sense of how we do it, whether someone's 25 or 55, that's generally the goal they're shooting for is, am I going to be able to save enough money to retire at some point someday? For some, that could be earlier than others, right? Retirement's not really an age. It's more about cash flow. And so if you can get the cash flow situation right, you can do it at any age, okay? So that's kind of a common theme or goal, I guess, but there's different areas that kind of stand out as being more important than others depending on what stage of life you're in. And so, in that context, I guess everything is kind of headed towards retirement, but the focus is a little bit different depending on your age. So, and before I say anything,
Yes.
I always have to drop, it's important to satisfy the government. And so our regulators of our industry always like me to point out at the beginning of any kind of interview that, nothing I say today should be construed as personal investment advice or planning advice. And I do not endorse any type of company or product. So now with that said, we can have a conversation.
Okay.
So there we go.
Oh, yes. Listen, what can I ask you about? So you're married.
I am.
And you how many children do you have?
3 kids. I've got 2 in college. Yay.
Yay.
And talk about financial planning. 2 in college, and then 1 that is getting ready to be a sophomore in high school.
Oh, my goodness. Now, your wife's name is?
Gina.
Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Gina, and the kids' names are, let's get everybody's name out there.
Yeah, so Jaden, Lauren, and Maddie are my 3 kiddos. And Gina and I have been married, it's been almost 25 years.
25
So,
years. That's great nowadays.
Yeah, we're pushing it, man.
Yeah. I mean, it may work. I think it's going to stick. I think you're going to be there.
I'm just
Wow.
thankful she puts up with me, that's for sure. So, bless her
Now,
heart.
is she all left brain like you are?
Kind of. She's definitely, I would say, more of a type A personality.
Wait, is that the lion or what is?
Very logical thinker, very structured. She's ex-Navy, so
wow.
when she asks you to clean the house,
She
the house
ain't
gets clean. You know what I'm saying? There's not. It's yeah. So
Oh, that's great. She was an officer?
no, just normal.
Regular.
I forget what was it, bosun's mate, I think is what she did. But her dad was in the Navy, and so it was kind of a family thing. I think she had an uncle that was actually in intelligence in the Navy or something. And so.
But man, when they get out of the Navy and they get out from under all the restrictions and laws and stuff like that, they come up with their own.
Yeah.
And they start, dealing with people the way they wish they could have dealt with the officers. they
Well,
worked under.
she's not overboard. I mean, it's
that's
pretty
good.
good. But yeah, I love her to death.
That's good. And the
she's
kids-
a good compliment to my personality. So she's more of the quiet, reserved person, and I tend to be a little more chatty. And matter
Talk
of
to
fact, it
anyone.
embarrasses her and my older daughter, because I can start a conversation with anybody anywhere, and it's like, you don't even know this person. I'm like, well, that's how you get to know people, is you talk. So
My grandchildren are, Grandma, they don't care. You don't need to say, tell them why we're here or what we're doing or anything like that. And I'm like, it just looked like they had that feeling. I could feel it. They wanted to know the rest of the story. They don't, Grandma. Nobody cares. I said, let's see, how old were you whenever you started talking? I couldn't wait for y'all to start talking. Y'all just go back.
I can't tell you how many times over the years I started up a conversation with a random person, and the conversation ended up being, literally they would tell me at the end of the conversation, thank you. Because nobody talks to one another anymore. We're in a digital age, and
That's
it's
right.
texting and it's this or that. And I think a lot of people are they're looking for connection. They're looking for somebody to I don't know, have a relationship with, if you will, in terms of just somebody being kind, saying a
Right.
kind word, complimenting them,
Or do you go to a restaurant and you're ordering and all, and the waitress comes back and says, I was thinking about the other day that when this guy said, and they come up and start telling you things about their life, and you're going, really? Okay, thank you for sharing. And you didn't say anything about that, but they just feel like you had such a kind face, and the way you ordered, they could just tell you, or someone that wanted
I
to know.
actually have had that happen. You just look like somebody that I could talk to. Oh, okay. and believe it or not, financial planning in our practice, I mean, it is, it is astounding what you hear in the privacy of an office, which obviously I don't repeat. But I mean, when it comes to people's money, you become a counselor in many other respects, because money revolves, their entire life in some way, shape, or form is connected to that. So, I mean, it's everything from marriages to kids and problems, and it's fascinating. So,
well, I think that since you are involved with their money, and that's one of the most personal things someone has, and you know all about that, they feel like they can tell you anything about everything else, and and you got to keep it a secret because they can't think you'd go home and say, hey, let me tell you what this person said to me.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of confidentiality.
So you have to keep all that in your head.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. It has to be something I can go home and tell somebody. Like, I got to tell you this because I can't believe it happened. Or someone said this. And I think that's what's interesting. And you have to know probably a lot of facets of different lifestyles and stuff like that so that you can, give them some kind of, help with advice.
Yeah, I think that's where younger guys in our profession, and there's a lot of them because it is an aging profession, and there's actually not enough financial planners coming up through the ranks to replace everybody that's retiring.
Really?
Or selling. So I think that's a lot of the problem they run into is they don't have enough age and life experience behind them in dealing with people, and so because it's a large part of what we do is you could literally. I tell people that running a practice like we run, which is we're an independent, fiduciary only registered investment advisory firm. Okay, we do financial planning, we do investment management, we have an insurance agency if that's necessary for someone's situation, and running that, you run into a lot of things, a lot of different kinds of people, a lot of different kinds of situations. And if you're new to the business or the industry and you've really not had a chance to sit across the table and look eyeball to eyeball with very many people, it's hard. It's a struggle to get started.
Well, is that why that you say, there's you can set up a meeting and it's, there's no obligation. You can set up a meeting and that's amazing because a lot of people will want,
so we've been in business, the firm has, for the better part of about 30 years. I've been with it for roughly half of that. I bought it 5 years ago from the original owner, and have just kind of carried on, and that's my plan someday. I want guys internally that, will transition, and that way clients already have the relationship. They know who you are. They know who to work with,
right.
But we've been around a long time. And so
and you can't be around that long without there being some kind of substance there because people go like,
well, we like to think so. We're servicing, second and third generation clients. And so and we're very proud of that. That says something, I believe, about the quality of customer service and what we do for clients. And so that's kind of exciting. But I was talking about earlier, the fact that we've been around so long, the majority of that, I would say probably 20 to 25 years of that, we've offered basically complimentary, I call them 50,000-foot reviews. Okay, so when someone comes in, they get 2 meetings, essentially. The first one is kind of a kick the tires, we gather information, data, goals, that kind of thing. And then the second is they come back in after we've evaluated all of this, and they get essentially a 50,000-foot financial plan. Here's what we see you're doing right. Here's what we see you may need some or you may have some problems with. And these are the areas we believe we can help you in. It's full disclosure. They know exactly what it's going to cost when they end the second meeting, because we're required as a fiduciary to do that.
Right.
And, that kind of helps people take the edge off, right? We're not a sales shop. We're an advisory firm. We're financial planners. And I just believe that it's very obvious to someone, right? If you come in and we look at your situation, number one, by the end of the second meeting, you're going to know whether or not personalities jive and we're the kind of folks that you might be comfortable doing business with. But number two, you're going to have a lot of really good information because at the end of the day, if you decide we're not the firm for you, that's okay, right? But you're going to have some bullets in your belt that when you go to the next guy and you sit down with him, you're going to be asking the right questions. That's the problem with most folks in the financial arena is they don't know the right questions to ask. And so therefore, financial lingo and product sales and all of that, they just get blindsided by all of it and they just don't know any better.
Because maybe you're talking to them and their brain stopped when you said you were a fiduciary and they're going like, hey, Ethel, what is a fiduciary?
What's a fiduciary? Is that an Italian word? What is that?
It's good. We tried to explain it on here like all good, radio stations do. That just means that you put the client ahead of the firm. The client comes first, and that's a big deal.
Fiduciary has what's called a best interest standard. Okay, and so yes, it would mean that. I think people confuse that with a few things, and believe me, you could go off in the weeds from a lot of different angles, but that doesn't mean that a fiduciary firm always gets everything right, okay? What it means is that as we work with a client point by point by point, the decisions we're making are decisions that we believe is best for them and that benefit them the most. That doesn't mean that as a firm we're not compensated. It doesn't mean as a firm that decisions don't need to be adjusted later down the road because of life changes or whatever. It means that we're doing our investigative work to the best of our ability to basically figure out if the decisions we're helping people make are appropriate and work in their best interest rather than in the financial interest of the firm.
Well, I guess because people, are so emotional about their money and about, saving it or making sure that nobody takes advantage of them, and how skeptical everybody is about everything now.
Sure.
It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's the world right now. So they're scared about putting this out.
Yeah.
And how do you think word of mouth is your best advertising, because this person knows this person and they say, oh, you gotta,
Well, certainly.
Chris is great.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we do a lot of marketing. We do a lot of advertising. I write a monthly magazine article in Dockline Magazine, a couple of different areas. Radio in Houston, we do some advertising there as well. So, I mean, certainly marketing and advertising is a part of what we do, but you can't beat word of mouth. I mean, the number one thing about it is there's already a measure of trust built in.
Right.
Okay, because if someone has had a good experience and they go tell a friend, when that friend calls, they already trust me to a certain degree because they trust their friend and what their friend had to say about us. So certainly it's valuable to us. And to me, referrals are the biggest compliment that a client could give to us. Because if their trust level has gotten to the point that they're willing to do that, to put their name on the line, to refer us to somebody, that's a big deal to me, and that's not something we take lightly. For sure.
Well, I don't think either the friend that's telling their friend about you, that they wouldn't put you out there because it would look bad on them if you
That's
did
right.
something shady or something.
Yeah.
So they got to know that you're good to go.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because Sam, my husband Sam, had listened to you and Craig a bunch of times on radio, and he said, these guys really impress me, and that, and I said, what are they talking about? And he said, money. And I went, oh, okay. And I went about, watching the rest of the cartoons, but he said that it was really good the way that y'all talked about it and how you talked about it. It wasn't anything pressure or high sales and stuff like that. And he, being a salesman all his life, is so, it's horrible going into a store and trying to get something. And he goes, we're not buying here. Let's go. And I said, what's wrong? He said, that salesman he's horrible. He needs to go back to class. And he was so picky about the person selling to us. So when he, liked somebody, he liked them, and you're his best friend.
Well, I've always said that when you can show somebody what the problem is, okay, there's no selling involved. The answer to the problem is obvious, okay? It becomes obvious very easily. And so once you reach that point with someone, there's not a need to try to hard sell them, if you will, in any capacity, because it's obvious what needs to be done. Okay. Now, you may have to go into detail about, well, this solution works this way, and, describe that type of thing, But if, I tell people all the time, if you go into a financial office and the first thing they start talking about is products, you need to go somewhere else, period. If they're talking about financial products and they haven't done any type of financial planning whatsoever, because here's the thing, financial planning is basically what uncovers the problems and then creates a designed path, a written path to get from point A to point B, which is your goal, okay? And if you think about it, if you've not done any planning, number one, you don't know where you are. Number two, you don't know really how you're going to get there because you don't even know where there is, right? And so if you're not doing financial planning, you're still doing a plan, and that's typically a plan to fail, okay? So, but it happens all the time. People go into a financial office and they'll ask them a few questions about, expenses and things like that. But it's a very shallow process. And it's really geared more towards financial product sales than it is truly about helping them figure out what the problems are and then applying a product to solve the problem, right? Products are just tools.
And the product being like
anything. I mean, it could be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, annuities, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to go about doing things. And that's, I could do 4 programs on that alone. But
well, it's not, if people are so scared about right now about the stocks and stuff like that, is there ways that you're able to calm them down and say these are probably the most secure ones to be, and here's the history of it, and because they're not going to do high risk things right now. They're doing retirement planning, right?
It depends on their age and their goals
and their money.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. Let me just say this: we have a very unique and different investment philosophy and methodology. Okay, most firms, people find they throw them into a diversified group of mutual funds, and most of the people that come in our office that are set up that way, they haven't been questioned or reviewed from their advisor in years. They're in the same mutual funds forever. Okay, that to me is in this day and time, and in the global market, financial market environment we have, you have to be more nimble and you have to be more active. The whole sit, with your head in the sand, buy and hold it, and markets go up forever mentality, to me is a very dangerous and, to me, kind of a fallacy of a philosophy in our day and time.
Well, do you have to educate these people on if they're wanting to go into foreign markets to invest in foreign markets? Do you do that? Is that part of it?
Well, you can do that to a degree through, ETFs or mutual funds or whatever here that invest internationally in different ways. But my point is that, and I'll just give you an example. So the beginning of Q4 of 21, one of the indicators we watched said you need to exit bonds and go into cash.
Oh, really?
We have not held a single bond since the beginning of Q4 of 2021.
Wait, what's a Q4?
Fourth quarter. So
fourth quarter.
Sometime around the beginning of October, of 2021.
Okay.
This indicator signaled for us to come out of bonds and to hold cash. Okay. And so we did. That probably has saved our clients. I mean, I've calculated anywhere from 6 to 9, 10% worth of losses last year because bonds tanked along with equities, stocks. Okay. So that's a perfect example of being active and nimble in how you invest, rather than just sitting in some, risk profiled percentage of stocks and bonds, which is how most people invest. You have a balanced portfolio, 60-40, whatever, 60% equities, 40% bonds. Well, bonds aren't always a hedge. Sometimes it makes sense to get out of bonds. Sometimes it makes sense to get out of stocks. Okay. Meaning be in cash. And
where do you put the cash?
It just depends on what's available at the time. I mean, now you've got money market mutual funds right now that are paying 4%. So I mean, all of that is constantly moving, and that's my point.
And
If you're static
Yeah.
and just sitting in one place, the odds are you're not getting the best of what you could do, and you're certainly not putting yourself in a position where when markets do correct very nastily like they have over the last 3 years or so,
Yes.
time and time again, my clients don't have to stomach that because
No.
the way that we invest, it helps to take the pressure off because our losses are not as big, right?
Right.
As maybe the guy that they're talking to at the water cooler. So,
Well, I can tell you that the barometer that I judged for Sam's mood was how the stocks were going.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing it himself. He was just buying, and doing this himself until he met y'all.
Yeah.
And then he didn't have to worry about it anymore. Or he'd come have meetings with you and tell you what you were doing wrong. No.
right.
I said, please go talk to Chris about this. And it would be, it was much more, like a better mood.
Yeah.
But he was in a horrible mood. It would go up and down just like the stocks would. So I knew where we were. Like I don't know how much we had lost that day or how much, and he was so glad when he finally was able to hand that over to somebody and that he trusted.
Yeah.
And that was good. I mean, that really does take a lot off your shoulders.
Well, and, there are situations where, and Sam would echo this. By the way, I love Sam. He's one of my favorite. Well, maybe I shouldn't say he's one of my favorite clients, but he is. He's one of my favorite clients.
That's
but
great.
He's just a great guy to have a conversation with and to sit down. And he's a perfect example of sometimes when you're doing what is in the best interest of the client, right? Because you could keep every client you have invested forever, and for the firm, it's making them more money, right? But we have had numerous cases over the year where we tell a client, you don't need to be in the market. You're taking all this risk, and quite frankly, you don't need it.
Right.
There's other ways, different ways to go about keeping up with inflation and doing what you need to do without necessarily going out and betting the farm, and you just make the change.
Well, is it
right?
when you're younger and that the risk taking is more prevalent, right?
It's
When
more
you're-
prevalent, but you would be amazed. Okay, I mean, I've had 75, 80-year-old people come in and tell me they want an all-stock portfolio, and this is how they want it, and this and that. And at my firm, every decision is based upon a financial plan. Okay, so if you just come in and say, "Hey, I want you to invest this money for me," we could do it, but how are we supposed to invest it? Just because you tell me you want a portfolio that looks like X, okay,
Right.
that doesn't mean that that's what you need, right? And most people have never done any kind of deep dive evaluation on what they truly need. And so if somebody comes to me and we run a financial plan, and that financial plan says, you know what, if you earn 3% for the rest of your life, you're going to be just fine, right? And then he tells me, yeah, but I want to be in this portfolio that's earning 20% a year, right? By the way, that's a totally fictitious number. I just made that up off the top of my head. But, I want over here with all this risk where I can really knock the ball out of the park, ring the bell every year. You're going to sign a waiver because I'm not going to invest you in a way that is contrary to what you need in your financial plan. If you want to do that, that's going to be on you. It's not going to be on me.
Yeah,
Okay?
right.
So-
Do people want to get in and get out quickly, and they call and say, "I'm worried about what this is doing. Get me out of here."
You know what? Honestly, I mean, if you think about all the 20% plus declines we've had in the last few years, I've got maybe a handful of clients that most of them have been with us long enough that they understand the process. They understand the protective or defensive nature that we provide in our investment philosophy. And so they've been through it. And they know they're going to have volatility. I mean, there's no way to control that. Nobody can
Right.
time the market. But they know that we take action. We're not sitting on our hands,
Right.
And so there's not very many, believe it or not. I mean, do they have fear? Yeah, they have some fear. But that's kind of what they pay me to do. So if they call, I'm like, you pay me to worry for you, right?
I just can't imagine. I think you're wonderful that you put up with. I know people like Sam that have got just enough knowledge of this stuff that can come in and feel like, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you, what I think. And he is smart about it. He does do a lot of research, and he does look it up and all that stuff, especially before he found y'all. So I just can't tell you how much, but he loves coming and talking to you. He thinks that's great. Okay, I'm going to see Chris. Do you want to go? I went, nope.
Oh, you need to go.
No, because you know what happens. I sit there, and if I go like, well, what if she doesn't know what she's talking about, but
Could I have a pillow?
I do like the mints y'all have, but it's great. No, and leave that all to him and you. So that's. But he comes back and tells me, like, well, I was talking to Chris, and it's great. And I think I was wondering about people that come to you. Do you have many women that are single women and widows and things like that?
We do.
Things like that. People like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know percentage-wise if it's higher or lower than, let's say a similar firm somewhere. But, I mean, we do have a lot of single lady clients, women in general. A lot of them are exactly what you just said because they've been widowed. I mean, I remember the first year I took over when I bought the firm in 17, I think there was 4 or 5 of our clients that were widowed that year, which was staggering.
In one year?
It doesn't happen that fast. I mean, it's crazy. But it happened. And it showed me really quickly, not that I didn't see it before, but it just hit home because there were so many of them back to back to back. It showed me very quickly that the importance of a husband and a wife, even if it's just to a tiny degree, being knowledgeable and on the same page about what's going on, okay? Because it's really difficult on a spouse, typically the woman, right? When the husband's handling everything and he passes on, she comes in, and if she's totally blind to the process, partly that's why the husband's there, is he wants to put that in our hands to help walk her through that. But it is helpful for her to have some kind of working knowledge,
Sam has written this. What do those guys write when they're going to go murder everybody, and so they write out all the stuff that they want everybody to know about them and about the world and everything.
What's it called?
Starts with the M.
Goodness gracious! I know what you're talking about.
I start these
manifesto.
Manifesto. That's it. He's written this, and he's put it up on the wall of his office. And he keeps saying, "Have you read that lately?" And I said, "Well, I started reading it after you wrote it, but I haven't gotten through all 40 pages of it. I think I got it. I think I know what you." I said, "I just go see Chris, right? That's all I have to do is just go see Chris." Yeah. And I said, "But what's going to happen is that I'm going to go first, and then you're going to have to go see Chris." And he says, no, I'm going before you. I'm older than you. No, I have more things wrong with me than you. So we argue about this. I said, right. I'm not truly trying to,
That's kind of a morbid argument. No,
yeah,
I'm going to die first. No, I'm going to die first. Goodness gracious.
It's true, though. We do talk about that. And the kids are just saying, Grandma, you've got to stay with us as long as you can, because he's going to be he's so strict with them and has the rules and regulations, and I'm just the antithesis of that. Yeah. But so I think it's hilarious because I don't care about money, and that's obvious. It's not that I spend a lot of money. It's just that I don't. It's not really important to me. If we have money, that's great. If we don't, that's be fine. Yeah. But he is continually saying, "You don't understand if I leave, and you have no one that you don't know where to go, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know you got to get all these bills paid." I think at the beginning he thought he might be able to give me, because my sister's a CPA. He thought he could give me the bills and let me pay them. Quickly, he realized that I'd run him right into the ground. And he says, "You know what? I'm going to do separate checking accounts. And we're going to and you have your money, and I'll have my money, and just don't. Never the two will mix." And so he's learned that about me. But I mean, we all have our own talents, and money's not one of mine. His is, and that's good. I said we balance each other out. I think we're a balance of nature.
And that's not unusual. I mean, there are couples where it's the wife that handles all of it.
Right. Yeah.
And the husband. I mean, I've got situations where I've never seen the husband. He's never come to a single financial
You're
planning
kidding,
session.
really?
No, he lets his
Oh.
wife handle it, and he does whatever he does. He goes out and makes some money, and she tries to handle it and grow it, and or in some cases, she's making all the money and she's handling everything. It's so unique, and that's partly what I love about what I do. Is there's no two situations that walk through our front door that are exactly alike.
No.
Every single one of them are unique, and that really makes the profession a lot of fun because it's always something new. It's always a new challenge. And it gives you a lot of life experience, right? I like to say I'm as good at what I do for one simple reason. I've helped people and watched them make mistakes over the last 15 plus years.
And learn from their mistakes.
That's right.
That's
And I learn from their mistakes. I learn from my mistakes. We're all human.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's like I was talking about earlier. That's what's really difficult about younger guys in the profession is they don't have that yet. They can get it,
Sure.
but they don't have it yet, and it just takes time. So that's why there's a huge fallout rate. People that will start in our profession, and within 2 or 3 years, they're gone and doing something different.
They get overwhelmed.
Well, I think there is this aura in our industry about, how well you're going to do. And, the financial industry, especially financial advisors and brokerage houses and banks and, all that kind of stuff. There's like this picture in people's minds that they make all this money, right? And it is possible to make a really good living, but you're going to scrape and struggle for a long time before you ever get there. Because you have to, it's like, what's the guy's name? Oh goodness, the motivational speaker guy. You have to help enough people.
Right.
Right. When you help enough people, you'll get there. Right.
He's come back out of the woods. I think he has some problems.
It's
and he
not
came back.
Napoleon Hill. He's no longer alive.
But you're talking about the one that's been in the movies and then that motivational speaker?
No, he's a author. Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar. Oh,
Zig Ziglar. That's who I'm thinking.
I love Zig Ziglar.
Yeah,
I
Zig
love
Ziglar.
him. He is. I studied all. When I did talks, and I would go around doing motivational talks.
Yeah.
And it was Zig and the guy that starts with S. Anyway, his mentor. Reading their books and thinking that's just great because all they did was they take everything biblical and twisted it around so that the kid on Wall Street could understand it.
Yeah.
And so
And there's a lot of good, sound, principles buried in a lot of that. And, it's true. When you help enough people, you'll get what you want.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And if it's the other way around, there's probably a problem in there somewhere. So.
I think there's somebody that right now is exhibiting that FTX, but it's just that's amazing. So if we were talking about that and about who's the crypto and the FTX people and all that, this people get scared because they hear all the news items about that and go like, well, who can you trust? And when they say we've got the newest thing, you've got to get in on this and we're solvent and we've got all these backers and it's going to be great. And you just believe it because you want to so bad to think that you're going to make the millions that Tom Brady just lost.
Well, let me say this. Fairness, full disclosure, our firm doesn't do anything with crypto, right? It's not that I'm not asked about it.
Right.
I even dabble in it. I own some crypto, have, traded some crypto. But it's at an infancy as an industry and certainly as a currency. There's very little regulation around it. And, if you think about even our financial industry, the current financial industry, stocks, bonds, those markets, firms like ours, there's tons and every year more added, tons worth of regulation. Very tight oversight, right? Mm-hmm. And yet, with all of that, Bernie Madoff can still happen.
That's right.
Okay. So when you have a Wild West industry like crypto, where there is no formal regulation, so to speak, maybe a little bit here and there, it's like the internet .com bubble in the late 90s. and there's a lot of risk there.
So
So we
scary,
don't. I don't recommend it to our clients. I don't advise on it. Now I'll give you my general thoughts about, because I do think the technology behind it, blockchain, is not going away. It's here, it's going to stay, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. And there's a lot of good, solid uses for it. It's just still the Wild West in the form of the technology that's with it and behind it, especially in the form of the currencies. So, I think what we're in is, and I think actually Mark Cuban may have said this in an interview, but I think that the crypto space is in what I would call a consolidation phase, similar to the way the internet was in the late 90s. Okay. And when the dot-com bubble burst, what you had was all of the companies that weren't any good, or their technology was bad, or their business plan was bad. They went belly up, or they got acquired. They got swallowed up by a better and bigger competitor. Okay.
Right.
That is what gave us the Googles and the Amazons of the world. Right. Crypto's kind of like that. I mean, do I think a further collapse could happen from where we are here? It's absolutely possible. But it's part of a cleanup effort that in business in general is kind of self-regulating, in the sense that if you stink and your business model stinks, or you're a crook like FTX and that whole situation, it normally comes full circle. And, it's part of an industry forming and getting a backbone and becoming legitimate, if that makes sense to you.
Well, being 70 years old, I saw so many things that have changed, and technology, and being older, you feel like it's left you behind, and like, I don't know what's going on now. But to watch my grandchildren say, you know what, I don't think I could change a $5 bill. I don't even know, because I never see money. We never see money. And I went, well, that's true. I don't see it either. I just know it's not there. But I know it's there or not there.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, but you just stick that card in there and it comes out. And I said, yeah, but I got to pay that back because it's a debit card. But anyway, the thing that they say is scary to me, because it is like our financial system and printing of money and all that you see happening, and you see all the inflation and the things that are going on. It's scary, because our money system isn't as strong as it used to be, and so it scares people.
Well, the U.S. government, our Treasury, has been working with MIT for over 10 years developing a digital dollar. I mean, that whole space, especially with sovereign nations, China already has one. It was available during the Olympics. Okay, so my point is that technology that stuff is built on, blockchain technology, is not going away. It's getting smarter. It's getting better. It's getting safer.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing.
All of the stuff that's built on that technology, crypto coinage, that type of stuff, will get better as well. And I absolutely believe there will come a day and time where globally you will be connected financially, meaning transactions in a split second all the way around the world, okay? Exchanging one currency for another, or even a crypto token possibly for another, depending on what someone's holding or what have you. And there will be no more coin and paper money. It's all digital. And if you think about it, we're almost there now. And I'm not saying I'm a fan of it, because I think that once everything goes completely digital, what I worry about are rogue leaders that suddenly go, oh, you don't like this? Well, we're just going to cut off your ability to buy at grocery store A, B, and C in your area.
Because all you have to do
because it's possible.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying it would happen. I'm just saying it's possible, and it creeps people out. But if you don't have cash to get around that anymore, someone could very easily form a type of control that would be really dangerous.
Well, what about, the fluctuation of the value of money? How can you standardize or be able to do that?
Same way they do today, through money supply. Same way they do today. It's just digital rather than paper. So it's kind of like the value of, let's say, Bitcoin, which has a limited supply of coins. That's why it's so valuable. Versus another token like an XRP, Ripple, or something like that has an unlimited supply, and they can mint as many of them as they need over time. Anything that has a limited supply is typically going to be more valuable.
Right.
Okay. So it's just a matter of money supply. They can burn tokens. They can mint tokens. Believe me, it's way over my head. There's guys that are a lot smarter about this than I am. But the point is the technology is not going away. And so I think people, it's something that would be good for people to begin to learn about and not necessarily immerse themselves in. I'm not saying go become a day trader in crypto unless you're willing to lose whatever you invest.
Well, but just to be aware of what.
But you got to be
future.
aware of what what the technology is and where it's headed, and because it affects a lot of different facets, especially of the financial world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of scary. But it's sad that my grandchildren say, but we're not the only ones. I mean, kids don't like to even deal with money. They don't. They'd rather use a card, and now they have cards for kids.
Yeah.
So I went like, oh, that was really smart when they did that.
Well, I mean, and that's what I was saying. I mean, if you think about it, we're already for the most part digital. I mean, my kids don't even know how to write a check.
Right.
They don't even have a checkbook.
Right.
Everything they do is through credit or debit card, online transactions, cash transaction apps like Zelle, PayPal, whatever. Everything's already digital. It's just not necessarily token, right? It's still in U.S. dollars. It's not in Bitcoin, right?
Right.
But anyways.
But now you can go up to the clerk and just take your card and flip it over and whatever that thing, and then you put it on the icon.
Yeah, the chip.
Yeah, the chip, and it goes, thank you very much. And the lines go so much faster that way.
Yeah.
But when some woman takes her pen and starts to write a check out in a line,
everybody just moans,
like,
oh, God,
no.
here we go. Hope her pen's not out.
that.
Oh, my goodness.
or me, and I was counting out the pennies. Hang on just a second. How much more did I need? Okay, just let me.
Well, if you're like me, my chip and my card never works, and then I have to run it, and,
Right.
It's like, why won't you beep? You never want to beep.
No, I love that. Well, we missed our break with your
Oh, my goodness.
voice on it. Your
Okay.
voice is on our break, and so we've only got 10 minutes.
Well, I could sing for you.
Okay, if you wanted, I wanted to see you lip sync that.
I don't even
disclaimer.
I don't even remember what the disclaimer said. I just read what the attorneys tell me to. So
No, I love that. And so you guys, whenever y'all listen to Chris on the break, listen to the next voice is Jake. Jake does the disclaimer part of it, and he will come back. He doesn't mean that he does anything we say can't be held against you. But I just know that you're okay, and you've said everything you've said passes mustard, right? You haven't said anything that your lawyers and all would be upset with, right?
no, I mean, that's what the disclosures are for. And it's, what I would tell folks is everybody has an opinion, right?
Right.
And some of it is obviously based very deeply in a lot of life experience. Believe me, you could take one subject, name a financial product, and we could do an entire show on it, right?
Yes.
And so today we just kind of hit things broadly,
Yes.
and that's good. So
No, just so that I want people to get to know you, and that you're a family man, and that you have all those woes that you
appreciate
just like
that.
everybody else has, or the good times and all that. So you've had all the good experiences and the rough ones, because that you need to know that somebody can relate to. I can relate to you, and you can relate to me, and that if I want to come see you, I don't have to have millions of dollars. I don't. I don't know.
We don't have any minimums.
See, there you go.
Never have. I mean, I look at it like the guy that comes in with $10 million. He worked really hard. Well, guess what? If a guy comes in and he's got $10,000, he worked really hard for his $10,000.
Amen.
Right. And so
That's
I'm not
right.
going. I'm not going to be the kind of guy that treats somebody different because they don't have as much money. That kind of goes against our values, and so we don't do that. So what I would leave your listeners with is just be careful and be cautious in today's economy, because we have a long way to go. with the interest rate hikes, and
Yes.
the market is trading really squirrely, meaning in opposite patterns in many respects, because people are not trading to fundamental, they're trading to the Fed. And so you just need to be careful. I wouldn't start going whole hog, throwing money back in the market, thinking everything's, the storm has passed and everything's hunky-dory. You need to be very cautious, be very careful, and, make sure you talk to your advisor about it, and assuming you have a good advisor.
And I think advisor's good, because if you say estate planning, they think that I don't have an estate. I got a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. What do you mean? I have to.
Yeah.
So estate is not exactly that. It's just that what you own, what you have, and
Is your estate.
That's your estate.
Yep.
And so if you want to come to you and say, am I going in the right direction? Can you help me with that? Am I going in the right direction? And then let them ask all the questions that are not stupid. They just uninformed yet. They don't know yet.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel better as a person. If I want to come talk to you, a woman hates to be made to feel stupid.
Look, if anybody has, if your listeners have questions, I'm never opposed to having a phone conversation. They can call us at 936-449-5952, or they can go to woottonfinancial.com, which is WOOTTON financial.com, and give us a call or set up an appointment. I'd always love to have a good conversation.
Yes.
It doesn't, you lose nothing by having a conversation. Okay?
There you go.
Because sometimes people come in and they're not a good fit. They're just not for one reason or another. And
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's why God made the other guys down the hall, right? So.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at.
No, not that guy with the camera, but the other advisor that may be down the hall. So
We didn't introduce him. We at least want to introduce him. He doesn't have a camera on him, but
He's in the blind
behind
spot.
the camera. And
Hey,
this is your cousin.
we got to give him props. So Joel handles all my production
Right.
and a lot of the technology side of my marketing and so forth. But yes, he also happens to be my first cousin, and he actually came in to do some video shooting today with a migraine. And so
With a
thanks,
migraine.
brother. We appreciate you.
So sweet. And
Appreciate you hitting it hard, man.
That's right. And I didn't ask you any embarrassing questions, did I? No. It was like, I'm sitting as far away from her as I can. But I hope we've said some stuff and went over some things that is going to be good for your, potential new clients, or for people that you have now. Sometimes you get to know somebody just a little bit better when they just sit down and just have a conversation like this.
Sure.
And you are great at conversations. We can get on the phone and I can go like, wait a minute, what time is it? It's almost was late because we're talking on the phone, and I'm going like, okay.
Yeah.
But you're knowledgeable about so many things, and that's what's good. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, thank
it's
you.
not, your scope is wide for things that you can talk about and relate to. So I appreciate that. But thank you for sponsoring us. I can't tell you how so happy to know that we had a sponsor out there. And Richard was even happier. It puts him in a really good mood when he says, "Oh, you've got a sponsor. Good, that's good." But I really do appreciate it, and
You're
somebody
very
like
welcome.
you especially.
Proud to do it.
So we're gonna wind this up, and it's Thursday. I'm starting my weekend. I go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and so I want everybody to have a great weekend and have a good time. And I always want to end this with saying how much we appreciate our first responders.
Absolutely.
That we love you. We love you so much. You're so great, and we admire you, and we couldn't do it without you.
Yep.
That's the deal. But the great thing is that God loves you even more. So have a good weekend. Call somebody that you hadn't talked to in a long time, and say hi. And thank you for being here. And we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Every week, people ask the same two questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran Show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group, or any of their representatives.